like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, get back onto that documentary trend. And then Sarah goes on to say, well, my friend Nikki James works for them. And I was like, what? They're from California. Like, how? I want to be doing that. I want to do everything. And I think she emailed you or text message or whatever it was. And the next day there was like a 2-page reply.
That sounds about right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Response Able with Professor Nikki James. I mean, louder is better.
I think so.
Because then we can yell. I feel like I have a fake loud voice. Because if I actually screamed right now, I would be super loud. Welcome back to the Response Able podcast. This is episode 5, and you are about to meet Mark Tipple. He's one of my favorite humans, and I know that I say that a lot, but I've got a lot of favorite humans in the world. So in this conversation, you meet Mark and get to hear his story and his wisdom and his journey and some of the amazing things that he's done and how he has navigated carving out a life and living with adaptability and living with purpose in mind all the way through, even though he wasn't quite sure how it would all play out. But you actually also get to hear a lot of my story through me sharing my reflections of the situations that he shares about that I was a part of, and him asking me probably just as many questions as I asked him. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. I definitely enjoyed having this conversation with Mark. In this episode, you are going to hear the first half of the conversation and then jump back in next week for part 2. I'm excited to introduce you to Mark Tipple and little Cora, who makes a cameo at the end. Let's jump in. All the shenanigans.
Yeah, and then you start when you're comfortable and ready, and then you're not thinking, I need to, now we're going, because it just, I start rolling almost as soon as I walk into the room for an interview, and that sucks because video is so much more data than sound.
Right.
But just the other day, like, I wasn't getting much from an interview for the duct tape surfing. We're talking about Pascal, who passed away 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was finally interviewing her other son that I hadn't interviewed before, and he shut down. Like, I can't say what was going through his head, but I wasn't getting much in the interview. And it had been an hour, and I wasn't going to get anything else. So I was like, thanks, man. And I stood up, from my perch, walked over to him, gave him a huge hug. I'm like, thanks for telling me your story. Still rolling. And then when the formality of sitting down talking about his mum who passed away, once that was done, he's still mic'd up. I had the radio mic, so it's a bit different when you've got, talking into a mic or a boom mic like I do for some interviews, because he was still getting the same quality of sound. And once that formality had dropped and I was standing next to him, still rolling the camera, I asked him a couple of questions and he was so open. Even though we can't use the picture because he's standing, I'm standing in frame, we can still use the sound.
Oh, cool.
So the formality of being like, now we're on. And the person might be like, I don't care because this is my life. Once the formality is dropped, and if they don't know that you're rolling as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
did you ever interview me? I can never remember. Was I ever in front of the camera?
We did for SSE. So that was...
Oh, that's right.
In the coffee place.
Yes.
So I remember
I forget that.
And that was probably one of my first jobs.
Really?
That you spearheaded, like, on my behalf, and you were asking the questions.
Yes, that's right.
So all I'm doing is sitting behind the camera, and then it was your turn. I'm like, oh, God. And I was so in the technical mode of, is it in focus? Which is funny to think about because... Like,
you don't think about that twice now?
No, don't even care. Because for the amount of time that you're going to be talking on camera, it's going to be like, especially in that format of a corporate film, it's going to be 8 seconds with your name down the bottom. Then it's going to be covered by B-roll or overlay, whatever you want to call it these days. So, but at the time I was like, there's half an hour of her, and if she's out of focus, can't use anything of it. And
Right.
so I was trying to interview. I was literally just reading the questions, not even caring about your response, because I'm thinking about the sound levels, which weren't changing, and the focus, which wasn't changing,
Right.
and the lighting, which wasn't changing.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm just going to ask the question because you were asking all the questions. So
wow, I've been an interviewer from way back. I never even thought about that.
I mean, I remember that because I'd never done so much talking.
Okay.
In a corporate film, I don't think I'd done a corporate before that.
Okay.
So when I got to the edit and there was we would have interviewed 6 people at least.
Yeah.
There was Jenny, there was Michael, there was Canadian dude who owned the coffee factory. Anyway, and it was probably...
Oh, yeah. The blonde guy.
Long hair. So there was probably at least 20 minutes interview each.
Yeah.
Times 6 or 7. There's my math is correct. Over 90 minutes, whatever.
And we needed, a 3-minute video?
And we needed 3 minutes. So I remember you spearheaded the edit just by saying, yep, this is a good grab, this is a good grab. And I didn't even watch the whole thing. I'm just like, okay, Nikki wants from 14 minutes to 14 and a half minutes, straight into the timeline. It would be funny to watch that again because I don't even know what we were talking about back then. It was too long ago. But
what's really funny is I wouldn't have ever known that you were nervous. And you would have never known that I was also terrified. And we're just making it up as we went.
I would be very hard pressed to ever rack my brain to find a time that I thought that Nikki James was terrified.
I was terrified for my entire 20s. So the most of the amount of time that we spent together, I was probably terrified trying to work out what the heck I was doing. But I was really good at faking it until I made it.
Throwing stuff at the wall. That's kind of what... That's how...
The life of an innovator.
That's how we met. That's how we gelled. That's how we're still sitting here Googling.
20 years later.
But now it's not Googling or reading the manual. It's asking ChatGPT through voice. 20 years later.
The technology has changed. The humans have not. We're still just trying to work it out.
Whenever I rock up on set and there's obviously you can see all the gear that's in my room, from the light stands to the tripods to the light into everything. And people are like, oh my gosh, you've got so much gear. I'm like, all the gear and no idea. And you see their face change from oh, that's a funny, does this guy know what he's doing?
But I feel like all those things that you do really do lighten people up so that I feel like that's intentional.
Yeah. I mean, even just like I said, when I'm testing the sound, my first question, when sound guys get on set and they mic someone up and they have to test the sound, the standard industry...
Is a boring question.
The industry standard question is, tell me what you had for breakfast. Because everyone's had breakfast. Even if it's just a coffee, they'll say, oh, I only had a coffee. I don't really eat breakfast.
Right.
So when I mic someone up, and it's on camera as well, so it's an extra level of kind of complexity, I say, tell me about your first kiss. And they go, I don't know, I could tell you about my first kiss. It was behind the shelter shed at school when I was 12. So you get that high and that low.
Yeah.
As well as the extra bonus. I mean, they might shut down and I'll be like, all right, tell me about your favorite kid or something like that. A question that you're not expecting to get that high and low of oh, my kids are rat bags. I don't have well, actually, Lucy's really cute, whatever.
Right.
And it also sets them off with that, this is going to be a fun interview.
Right. So good.
Yeah.
All right. Good times. I love hearing the insights. And I'm learning. So
just remember.
I just want to let everybody know that I just got mic technique feedback or visually right now, which was very entertaining. So was I too close or too far away, sir?
You were too far away. And I've realized that I've given you a spinny chair. And if you're on camera now,
but everybody that knows me would know that that's my personality. If I have the opportunity to move, I will move.
You're a spinner, Nikki.
I've been a spinner since day one.
Through and through spinner. That's why we love you.
Yes. All right. Should we get started for real?
Mate.
Let's get into it. No, I'm not going to be like that.
Cue the music.
like, hear the music. Boom. That's my music. Here we go.
Press one of those buttons. See what it does. I can't hear it. You're the only one wearing headphones. And dancing at the same time. That works.
It's a good time. I mean, that would be I don't know where that's going to show up in the recording, but it'll be funny when it does. I think we're going to have plenty of outtakes here, which is awesome.
You're doing the editing.
Yay. Until I can afford to pay someone to do that for me, yes.
Well, you are on the other side of the world, so let's shoot the proverbial out of it and figure it out later, because
yes,
you can't do an easy pickup.
Yes, very well. With you, I probably could, because we could probably do a scenario where you're recording yourself on this side of the world and I'm recording myself on that side of the world, and then we can kind of bring it together. But with anybody else, that would be really difficult. But with this room, which I'm going to take a photo of, I'm pretty sure we could make that work.
20 years. I mean, that reminds me of, we'll no doubt get into it, but your whole cafe concept. So that's a nice little blast back to the past. So
my cafe concept. Oh, the one in Bondi?
The video one, yeah. That's a nice blast back to the past that I probably wouldn't have thought about until then. So
oh my gosh. Okay.
And I do not know anything about what we're going to be talking about. So
no, it's really, we'll see. I am a big fan of, I've got 5 questions, right? However, I know that that's going to lead to many other random things and fun stories and things like that. But my first question was actually inspired by you. And I don't know if you're going to tell the same story, but it was very entertaining when we were having a chat a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And you told me how your version of the story of when we first met. So my first question, you don't have to tell the same story, whatever comes to mind. I don't even know if you remember what you told me, but I did ask Richard this question, and funny story, couldn't remember. Genuinely couldn't remember. So we kind of like fell flat, but we'll see how it goes. We'll try again. So do you remember how we first met?
Well, probably similar to Richard, I don't remember the first time we met face to face, but I remember the first time I came into knowing of the presence that is Nikki James.
Wow.
So not to be too covert, but there's a bit of background on me. I was at film school in Sydney, out of my element, which was from a fishing boat in a small country town. I saw my future on the fishing boats, knew that I didn't want to do that, so I went to university to study journalism. That didn't work out, so I switched to film. So I was in Sydney in a place I didn't really know how to deal with, loving the studies, hanging out with all the international students plus the locals. I had a pretty strong trajectory into documentaries, but the film school was very much drama focused. So I was in this weird space of, they want me to make dramas, but I want to make docos. How do I make docos? I'm only here to make docos, but I kind of like drama, and I felt myself getting pulled into drama, which I was okay with because, throw stuff at the wall, see if it sticks. This girl that I was hanging out with, Sarah, she showed me this documentary late one night. We were editing or something, talking about film school, and she's like, have you heard of this thing? Like, I told her my whole documentary focus. She's like, have you heard of Invisible Children? I'm like, no, tell me more. That sounds interesting. So that doco, the first one that these 3 punk kids from California made about the child soldiers in Africa, was basically, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, get back onto that documentary trend. The drama that I was focusing on at film school just paled in comparison to the emotion that doco made. And then Sarah goes on to say, well, my friend Nikki James works for them. And I was like, what? They're from California. Like, how? I want to be doing that. I want to do everything. And I think she emailed you or text messaged, whatever it was. And the next day there was like a 2-page reply.
That sounds about right.
From said Nikki James, detailing that Invisible Children are coming to Sydney and that you are spearheading the Invisible Children Australia, all this like top level stuff that I was like, I thought he was just holding a camera, and realizing that there's an actual company / business behind this whole venture that Sarah's friend Nikki was spearheading.
Guilty.
And I was like, well, I want to do that. And I think the email ended with something, obviously not verbatim, this is 20 years ago, but it'd be good to get your friend involved.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yes, hook it up, Sarah. And I think I was like, when I saw the email on the screen, 2 pages,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, that's a lot of work that Nikki put into this email reply. And this is basically verbatim. Sarah says, nah, Nikki would have just powered this out. So, like I said, I can't remember the exact time that we met, but I remember
that story.
The essence of Nikki being like, this is someone who I want to meet and learn from.
Oh my gosh. It is really funny hearing that side of the story because it is so. I don't even know how I originally got connected with Invisible Children. I never officially worked for them, but I feel like I reached out to them one time I was in California. So this is a very random story. So I was involved in an organization called the iHeart Revolution, which was connected to my local church. And as part of that, we did a big visual installation at a conference that we had in July one year. And as a part of that, I met some people that ran a conference in the US. So this is the story of my life. My life is very random and things just happen and play out in weird and wonderful ways. So as a part of the conference that I was at in Sydney, there was a couple of people from a conference called Catalyst in Atlanta that had come, and they invited me to come to Catalyst. They were like, oh, you should come hang out. And I was like, this sounds fun. Awesome. And so we hung out for the rest of the week that they were here in Sydney. And then I think 3 months later, I was going over to Catalyst, and I posted, I think, on Twitter. I can't remember. Okay, this is getting really random, but it gets worse. I posted on Twitter, oh, hey, I'm going to Catalyst. Does anybody know anyone I should hang out with while I'm there? Right?
Perfect, Nikki James.
Yeah, on point. And my friend Justin, who lived in LA and ran an organization called Red Eye that he still runs today, hopefully I'll get to interview him at one point. He goes, oh, you should meet Ryan Sisson. He's involved in like social enterprise stuff and creative stuff, and he'll probably be there. Anyway, so Justin literally connects me and Ryan on Twitter. And Ryan's going to be at this conference because he's helped be a part of it. And so I'm like just chit-chatting back and forth with Ryan. He was actually doing some guest relation stuff at the conference. And so he was like, oh, when I have time, I'll come find you and we can like meet up in person. And so I was there at the conference with a couple of people from Atlanta, and I was staying at one of the girls' houses, and I was going to the conference during the day. And all of a sudden, this random Californian guy just kept popping up to talk to me. But my friend didn't realize that we were chatting, and he was like saying, hey, I'm free. Where are you? She thought that there was this random guy that would run into us every now and then. Anyhow, so Ryan turned out to work for an organization called 50 and 50, which they do websites and communications for organizations that have some sort of social mission, and was from San Diego, which is the same place that the guys that did Invisible Children, the movie, were from. And so, again, I was going back to California after my stint in Atlanta, back to my friend Justin's organization, and Ryan said, well, you should come down to San Diego. You could catch the train down and just come down for the day and hang out in San Diego and check out stuff. Because I knew Invisible Children was down there, I had reached out to them and said, hey, I'm actually going to be in San Diego. And so I must have got in contact with them about something else because I thought the video was cool. And they were like, oh, okay. I said I was coming to California, and their operations manager was like, okay, well, let's come to the office and check it out. And then her and I were going to go to lunch. But then Ryan had already made lunch plans for me. And I was like, well, I'm actually meeting up with my friend Ryan. Do you mind if he tags along? And Jason Russell, one of the founders of Invisible Children, was in the lobby waiting, classic Jason, waiting for somebody to come down so he could go have lunch with them. Right. So he wasn't in the office going, hey, let's go get food, guys. He literally was waiting in the lobby for somebody to come down so he could go to lunch with them. Like, he didn't care who it was. End up at Miguel's in San Diego. If you've been to San Diego, you probably have heard of Miguel's, eating Mexican and just talking about social impact stuff. And that was the first time I'd heard that they were sending a team to Australia. And I just said, hey, I can help, which is the story of my life. Is just, hey, I know kind of the not-for-profit space in Australia a little bit. If you guys are coming, if you're going to be raising money in Australia and you want to do it legally, you probably need to start an organizational structure in Australia to kind of administer the funds so that as a subsidiary of the US. And they were like, well, we have no idea how to do that. And I was like, well, we can probably work it out, right? So I ended up being the president of the Invisible Children entity in Australia purely because I was like, well, if you need any help, let me know. Right. And so when Sarah reached out to me, I don't remember the email. I don't remember the email response, but she's probably right. I talk a lot. So I also write a lot. And so I was just probably stream of consciousness, blah, blah, blah. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. That's my nervous thing. Because I was like, I got to act like I know what's going on. And so, yeah. And saying, hey, it'd be great to get your friend involved is like the other side of that was we needed people, right? And so the fact that she knew somebody that had the skill set that we needed, it wasn't really, I never saw it as, wow, I'm being really awesome and getting this person that's young and like excited involved. And that was a sacrifice for me. Like for me, that was like, oh my gosh, we have this person that has these epic skills. That's exactly what we need to make this great. So yeah, of course. And so, yeah.
I think I do remember that it was, I'm the president of Invisible Children Australia, or I'm organising this, setting this up. And when I heard the story that you had basically fallen into a lunch with one of the founders, I was just like, who is this person that can just kind of like sail around and
I don't know.
And I mean, we're kind of in the same headspace with the social justice, like helping others. How can our skill set help other people or help other people who are helping other people? And it's kind of like bringing everyone together. But when I heard that, it kind of just fell into, you know, through persistence, through just being available, this meeting / setting up Invisible Children, you know, evolved.
In a whole new country.
And I was kind of like, well, how brave and how bold from the outside is Nikki to kind of spearhead that? And before knowing that, it was just like, do you want to come to lunch with us? Why not? Like, you know, because that's just conversation. That's just being a human. But for me, being like, how do I even reach out to Invisible Children to be like, hey, I love what you guys do. I hold a camera as well. Can I help? That was way too much for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Nikki has approached them to say, hey, I want to set up Invisible Children Australia and you guys should come over. That's where I was coming from, to be like, who is this person who is basically spearheading this whole organization's movement into Australia?
Yeah.
And then I think it was probably 2 years later, you're like, no, I was just in San Diego and we had ended up at lunch. I'm like, that's awesome that it can happen like that.
Yeah.
Because I was, like I said, coming from, you know, the drama background, and everything's so rehearsed and manufactured and produced, and it takes a year to even get to rolling cameras on a film. And it was kind of a different story in this space. And I think it definitely was seeing that doco and then working with yourself and Invisible Children when they came to Australia, that solidified me in that social justice documentary space.
That's so cool. I never knew that.
And it was also, I can't remember timings exactly, but it was around the same time that I went to Indonesia by myself and ended up in Jakarta on the train tracks in the slums, hanging with people who were working their butts off to get a couple of dollars to send money back to the village. And I was like, Invisible Children plus that month that I spent in Indonesia was, okay, this is the role I want to, this is the path I want to go down.
So cool. I love that because my kind of side of it for me was that you were already pursuing that and we would just happen to be doing stuff that was similar.
No, I was just lying.
We were both faking it until we made it. Yes. Kindred
Yeah.
spirit.
I was probably like, yeah, I've filmed documentaries in several countries, and after journalism didn't work out, I went to Fiji and I was filming a documentary, which I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a camera that had a video mode. I'm like, yes, I'm a
I
documentary.
remember that. I've seen it.
So when I said multiple, like international, it was probably like, yeah, I ended up in a
The truth
village.
comes out.
Ended up in a village with like some infectious disease in Fiji, sludging through 2 tropical cyclones, and got like 6 photos out of it.
But the way you told the story, it didn't come across that was the case.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I was in Fiji and Indonesia, and this is what I do, and this is who I am. So good.
Probably working on my sales pitch back then.
Well, you were very convincing. You were very convincing.
Look at us now.
Like, honestly, the thing that I think about, right, is I wish I saw myself the way that everyone else saw me in my 20s, because I definitely didn't feel confident. I was just like, oh, there's all these people in the world doing some cool stuff. Like, I'm not bold enough really to do my own thing, but maybe I can learn by helping these other people, and not realizing that to a lot of other people was boldness, and that was something that they wish they could do as well. So yeah, I think I really didn't know what I didn't know. And when I think my number one skill that I've always had is that I can solve a problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what problem it is, and I'm like, I can solve a problem. And I feel like I'm also really good at getting people together, like getting different people with the right set of skills together to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so never. There was a little. I was kind of like, I always think about the Wizard of Oz, and I felt a bit like the wizard. Like, I was the little wizard that was like behind the curtain, really scared, but everybody saw the big like shadow or whatever. But that's so funny.
There was a year, like I think we met in 2008 or 2009. I think Invisible Children was 2009.
Yeah, Invisible Children was 2009 when they did the global Kony campaign. And so we probably met sometime in 2008, because that's when we were working on it.
And it was probably like, fast forward, I remember it was 5 years or maybe 6 years. My life had changed completely for the better. And at the start of the year, I was like, I'm just going to say yes this year. Like, pretty much to whatever opportunity or whatever question was asked, as long as it didn't like betray my morals.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm just going to say yes. And I remember probably halfway through that year, and all of these opportunities and networks and stuff had opened up just by being available, being open, being happy. And like, even if it was just to collaborate on something, not so much use my complete skill set, but just almost not invading, that's the wrong word, but incorporating myself into the networks. And I was like, man, if I'd been doing this for the last 10 years in the networks and the scene that I was interested in, which is similar to what you were doing. Yeah. Like, how wide your network or your entity or your brand, whatever you want to call it, can spread just from saying yes and being open to opportunities, which is exactly what you had been doing for that amount of time and still are doing.
Yeah. No.
It's crazy just like it's interesting like what opportunities open up just by being present and chatty person. Yeah. As I say with a croaky voice after yelling at a music festival trying to interview drunks last weekend.
Hey, but you were at a music festival using your skills to like create a great opportunity for people.
Skills, I don't know, interviewing drunks.
Hey, it's probably harder to interview drunks than it is sober people.
Yeah, we got more content from the drunks than with one simple question than 20 questions trying to get a corporate spiel from people involved in the festival. So just go straight to the source. Do you want us to come back to Port Lincoln? Yeah, that was so much fun. That was sick.
You're like, nailed it.
Exactly. Yeah. I got more content from the last 8 minutes of people walking out of the gates than I had for the whole 8 hours beforehand.
Mhm. That's so good. But that's you. That's your skill set that you worked on over the last 20 years. You know how to get what you need.
Handshake and a smile.
Yeah, goes a long way. Goes a long way. Oh my gosh, I love that. We've done so many crazy things together, and we're going to talk about those. This is, I feel like, already going to be a little bit longer than I anticipated, which is totally fine because that was question 1 and we're probably 30 minutes in. I mean, you have told us a little bit of your story already and background, but as much as you would want to share, like, can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you ended up in Sydney? Like, I guess the prequel to us meeting and starting to work on these projects together.
Grew up on the road. My dad was a traveling pastor.
Mhm.
Early 80s, the evangelical scene was pumping, and we were just basically cruising in a combi. My brother's 2 years older than me. So, the 4 of us cruising around, going from town to town preaching and all that sort of stuff. Set up a couple of churches, ended up in Brisbane, and then a very major church up there, which is fairly pivotal to my story because it started the decline in my parents' marriage. And then my parents were from Adelaide. They grew up in Adelaide. So when that marriage broke up, we all ended up in Adelaide, but my parents were separated. So kind of pretty used to moving around. And as a side effect of that, really relying on those who stay true to me in a weird, deep way, because I didn't have that solid group of friends that I'd known since kindergarten and stuff. Like, so when I've always been comfortable in my own skin because, my brother's always been there. Anyway, long story long. So when we ended up in Adelaide, it was basically ended up doing high school in Adelaide. And because I wasn't really in that group of friends to party, kind of hit the party scene a bit hard when I was early teens.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? And I think it was really good to go through that at that age when, you're under 18 in Australia and your punishment isn't really that severe. Managed to stay out of jail, and the thing that really solidified me not going down that pathway and ending up in jail was surfing. So I started surfing, and that was my outlet for all of this angst of parents breaking up and listening to really loud punk music and having the ocean beat me up instead of the homies that lived down the road beat me up because I was a surfer and, I grew up in a really rough area. So after high school, moved to Port Lincoln because the waves are amazing over there. It's a town of about 15,000 people and they've got the most millionaires per capita because of all the seafood and the aquaculture. So moving over there to surf, but also working was amazing because I could work seasonally, travel in the off seasons with, a pocket full of cash, which was funny because it was like if I had $2,000, I could travel for 6 months.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. So coming back to Port Lincoln and after traveling and just seeing the same people on the same boats doing the same job for their whole working career. And, every time I came back, they had one more missing tooth. I was like, I don't really want to do this. It was so much fun as an early 20, but I didn't want to be doing that in my 40s. So I saved up enough to go overseas for 9 months and had my camera with me because I was always interested in surf photography and surf films. So I got a camera to document my travels. And when I was overseas, I was photographing just landscapes and stuff like that. And I was like, how cool would it be if I could make money from this camera? Loved writing, went to journalism, which is why I moved from, country South Australia to the East Coast. First Wollongong, and then journalism didn't work out because I didn't fit into the university system. And I found a film school in Sydney that promised to get a camera in my hands within the first 2 weeks. So this country kid from the boat ended up in smack bang in Coogee or Randwick at the time, too scared to drive my car, so I bought a mountain bike and I was riding all over the hills, or like the Coogee Hill, if anyone knows it, is brutal. So riding to the beach, going for a swim was fine because it's downhill.
Getting back, not so
Getting
much.
back, oh, good grief. So film school opened my eyes to both sides, drama and documentary.
Mhm.
And then working on projects like Invisible Children and a couple of social justice projects that I worked on was like, okay, I want to focus on helping people who help others through what I can do, which is photo and video. Worked with Salvation Army a lot, a number of organizations, and basically just started fudging my way through freelance photography and filmmaking by linking with organizations who needed to spread their message.
Mhm.
Sydney didn't really fit me after a while. I sort of faked it for long enough and had a relationship breakdown fairly rapidly. So I remembered when I was most happiest, and that was when I was on the road. I had a tingling of some pretty severe mental health issues from not being me, who I thought I was going to end up being, and living this Sydney life. And I was okay with paying $31 for an hour parking while I go and buy a lens cap for my camera or something, and that's normal. Or having to park 3 kilometers away because there's just no parking, and I'm like, that's normal. I'm like, this isn't me. So I moved into a van.
The van era.
Bought a van for $3,000. I moved back home, back to my mum's house in Adelaide. I think I was 31 at the time, 32 maybe. And I was living back at my mum's place and saw this. I was thinking about, actually, my mate went overseas and I stole his car because he was going to be gone for 6 months. And I'm like,
do you mean borrowed?
Well,
did he know about it?
He knew about it, but I think it was the day after he flew out because he was doing a round the world trip. I drove to Sydney and he wasn't super stoked with me driving his kind of pocket rocket of a car to Sydney, especially as I didn't have accommodation lined up and I had a swag and I was basically sleeping in the cemetery that is in Clovelly.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was
I think I knew this.
It was a nice quiet place. Not many peeps coming from the cemetery. But I was in a really bad place emotionally and having the freedom to do what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I still had work in Sydney. Some of my clients came through and said, hey, we do a shoot? And I'm like, I didn't tell them that I was in a different state. I just drove back, did the jobs, tried not to smell too much. That freedom was like, okay, I want to keep doing this. Bought a van, did that life for 3 years, opened all of the doors into what I wanted to do, heaps of travel, just being open to say yes to jobs and opportunities. And basically every second month I was overseas. Every other week I was in either Port Lincoln, where all the aquaculture needed photos and videos. So I did a lot of jobs in Port Lincoln, went back to Sydney, did the not-for-profit stuff and just cruised. Along the way, met a girl back in Adelaide. We actually grew up 2 streets away from each other but didn't know each other. Lived in Sydney at the same time. She worked across the road from the girl that I was dating at the time, but we still didn't know each other.
I didn't know that.
You probably didn't know, yeah. So when I used to drop off the girl that I was dating at work, my now wife was working across the road.
That's so wild.
And then we both moved back to Adelaide, still hadn't met. But even crazier, her best friend married my cousin when we were in our 20s.
And you still hadn't met?
Still hadn't, because I didn't go to the wedding. My wife Millie, went to the wedding, obviously. Her best friend's getting married to this random dude who happens to be my cousin. And then I might have gone to a 21st and Millie didn't go, and it was just sliding doors forever until we met. And I was actually at my cousin's house watching the footy and we met online. And my cousin was like, why are you on your phone? You're never on your phone. I was like, I'm just talking to this Millie chick. And he's like, show me a photo. And so it was basically destiny from there.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. It definitely wouldn't have worked out any time before for the previous 10, 12 years that her best friend and my cousin had met. wouldn't have worked out. So
Mhm.
that slowed down my van life, which was amazing. And I kind of had dealt with all of my issues from having 3 years in a van by myself.
Mhm.
And I was ready to move on to the next journey and had 2 amazing kids.
Yes, they are
Bought a-
very cute. I can verify the cuteness of the kids.
Got my big boy pants on and bought a tree and a shed that came with a house.
Well, maybe partially big boy pants, because no one with big boy pants on would say the house came with a tree and a shed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still barefoot right now, which is pretty great. And yeah, so I'm actually, was it 2025 now? End of 2025. I'm looking to move out of freelance for, the odd jobs that come.
Mhm.
I'm not traveling anymore. The odd trip here and there, but I'm saying no to overseas jobs when they come because I
Mhm.
don't want to be away from the kids.
Yeah.
Millie is focusing on her career, which is amazing. So I'm doing all the stuff in the background. I've just started a job with the local aquatics centre. So I'm teaching surfing, which goes back to my background in the ocean, and just got accepted to study teaching at university. So I've probably got 5 years. I think I haven't even read the fine print of this university course, but I think it's 4.5 years, which will bring me to 50. And I think I went freelance when I was 30, freelance photo and film. So that'll be a nice 20 years
Mhm.
rounded up and move into the next career when I'm 50. So I've never had a plan, obviously,
Yeah.
but accepting the acceptance offer from university is the first time I've had a plan apart from having kids, because obviously that's my life plan. But yeah, it is a fun journey, and it's been a pretty amazing 20 years.
Yeah. No, it's I can honestly say it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch, but it's also been fun to be a part of. Our lives have kind of dovetailed in and out of each other. We did a bunch of stuff together probably in our 20s, early 30s, I guess I would say.
You were actually my first commercial job or corporate job once I went freelance.
I would never call myself corporate, so
That was
yes.
that was a very corporate film. Although it was with social entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
it was a corporate format
Yes.
of a film, of a project.
Yeah. I think we actually had that conversation. I think I knew that was your first. I don't think I knew it was your first freelance gig, but I think I remember being entertained by the fact that you thought it was corporate. Because for me, I never thought of myself like that. Like, the number one thing that I never wanted to do was sit behind a desk all day. And to me, I think what I meant when I said that was I don't want to be a corporate. And the fact that you were basically telling me that what I was doing was corporate, I thought was highly entertaining, because I thought I was crazy. I mean, I was crazy. Let's be fair.
I mean, to paraphrase, it was probably the corporate style of video. Like
that's true.
The film industry is fairly super broad, but the styles are fairly segmented. And this fell into a corporate. So it wasn't a slight on you or anything. It was just like, this
I
is
didn't take it that way.
This is a style that, we're not going to, it's not a 6-month documentary that we're following all of these people who have been through this organization. It's let's sit down and talk about how this organization has helped your pursuit.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. It was a soft sale of a purpose-based organization, but it was
a full screen logo at the end is a pretty hard sell, mate.
Man, we should actually dig that up. It would be so funny. It would be so funny. We're getting visited by one of the tiny humans. Are you high on sugar right now?
Come here. Go. Sit in my lap. You can talk.
Cora, what have you been doing today? Why are you munching on lollies right now?
Gingerbread house.
What's been your favorite candy lollies? I have to convert myself back to the Australian words. What's your favorite lolly that you put on your gingerbread house?
We've already made it, and it's Skittles.
Can you go play?
No, I'm staying in here.
Okay.
Isn't Cora just the cutest human ever? I had the best weekend hanging out with Mark, Millie, Cora, and Finn, and I was so grateful that they welcomed me into their family. I also hope you really enjoyed the conversation. I definitely enjoyed having it. I really think I remembered stories that I had not remembered in a while, and I was inspired and motivated by some of the things that we remembered as a part of that conversation. And I cannot wait for you to hear the rest of the conversation in our episode next week. Until then, I really encourage you to look at marktipple.com and have a look at some more of the work that Mark has produced and put into the world, because it comes from a place of passion and a desire to tell stories that are really worthwhile and worth telling. So until next time.